Hi YouTube, National888 here again, bringing you another Diablo 4 video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content so far. I've got a new build to show you guys today. I'm going to call it the Barrier Generation Quill Volley build. And I just switched to it today. This is actually the second time I've switched builds in the last day or two. But I didn't make a video for the last one because I was going to, and then this build, I started getting information about it, and a lot of things have been starting to settle down, and people have been figuring stuff out. It's a really exciting time to be playing the new class, because now people are starting to figure out things like attack speed, breakpoints, like the breakpoints you actually need for a lot of things, and it's getting really interesting. So if you guys have enjoyed the content so far, real quick before we get started, dive into this, do appreciate a like and subscribe. And I do appreciate the views you guys have given me so far on these Diablo videos, and the feedback too. It's really been helpful. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things real quick first. The first thing I want to talk about is the attack speed breakpoint. So there's going to be a spreadsheet. I'm going to attach it in the description down below for you guys. But go ahead and use that. And the goal that you want to plug all your information in. How much attack speed do you have in your gear? And you'll be able to figure that out by just like plugging in what's on your ring, what's on your gloves, what's on your necklace, etc. And then you'll also have to consider you have this Moonrise affix, if you do, which is another 20%. So basically, whatever you plug into the sheet, the total down the bottom should be 20% more than the attack speed that's shown here in your inventory. And if it is, then you're squared away. You also have to plug in the amount of attack speed from your Paragon as well. I think I forgot to mention. And then that's all on one cap 1. So there's a second cap of attack speed, which is separate from the first cap, and that's going to be like buffs and stuff that you get from in combat, like ferocity stacks. And I think that's the only thing for Spiritborn right now that's going to be included in that bucket, as far as I'm aware. Maybe some other affixes here, but for like this one, it's going to be in the first bucket, and then cap 1. So anyways, try to get to 12 iframes. That's the goal, for your end game situation. That's like the max. I mean, I think you can technically get to 11 hypothetically, but it's just impossible, nearly impossible to do, and you'd have to sacrifice way too much to do it. So don't do that. Go for the 12. And I have to give a shout out to the player that I learned a lot of this stuff from. His name's Nick2 on YouTube. If you guys want to check him out, he definitely had a lot of great information. It was like a 40-minute video, and he really broke down a lot of great things about Spiritborn and game builds. And I've been learning a lot from that. And that's actually where I got for this build that I'm currently using, the barrier build that we're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, one more thing I want to talk about is your resource cap. So last time I mentioned you need 270 resources, which is what it says, or 75 resources, 275 vigor to get the cap, which is intuitive from what it says here in the description. But that's actually incorrect, guys. So I think someone posted in a comment, they didn't really explain why, but I've done a little digging, and people are talking about 240 is actually the cap, because for whatever reason, when you cast this, it subtracts, the cap is actually subtracting the cost of Quill Volley from this number. It doesn't really make sense. It's kind of like a bug or an unintended feature that just slipped in there. So to go for 240. So it makes it a lot easier to reach the cap. In fact, you can see we don't even need Tibalts anymore. And we're only using a rod with 34 max resources. This doesn't actually get us to the cap though. So just so you guys know, as you can see here, we're at 230 right now. But I am running an elixir. The elixir of resourcefulness gives you a plus 25 max resource cap. And if you guys need to use that one, you can go ahead and do that. I mean, there are probably ones that are a little bit better. If you need to hit your attack speed breakpoint, for example, you can use the elixir of advantage. Or if you just want to do extra damage, I think this does like 30% more damage with the overpower and vulnerable damage. So that one's pretty good if you don't need either of the other two elixirs. Anyways, that covers those two things. So now let's get into the build. So the build is barrier generation, and we're subbing out some of our uniques. We're not using the Jack in the Shell anymore. We're going to be using this apprehension affix for the ancestral legendary, and these are the things you want to roll for. The resolve is the most important tempering on here, and you want to actually try to hit that. You can see I didn't really. I was kind of being lazy about it, but you want to try to hit the greater or upgrades on the resolve when you masterwork, and that pretty much covers that. if you don't have enough armor with this build, there's the forced power you can actually use instead of this is an option, because you're going to be losing actually a lot of resist and armor. I'm not really armor as much, but because you're back to these ancestral legendaries which can roll armor, so I didn't have a problem with armor, but I did have a huge problem. We're not using Rakanath's Wake anymore, so we're losing out a lot of all resist. But the thing is, with this barrier build, you don't actually need to be armor capped or resistance capped. It's crazy. So right now you can see I am actually capped. That's actually surprising. I wonder. Oh, it's because I'm using an all resist. It looks like someone else hit me with a all resist elixir. So I'm actually not capped on. I don't believe I'm capped on anything except poison right now, even though what it says here. But the thing is, we don't need to be capped because we have such a huge barrier. We have the goal with this build is to get like about 100. I think it's 121. Let me look it up real quick so I don't give you guys the wrong information. But that will all be linked in the build guide in the description below. Let's see, what is the exact number? It is 122.3% barrier generation is what you want. So you get you're going to be using this barrier generation. So we're like 1% over what we need, but we're swapping out one of our ruins too. So instead of using the vortex ruin, we're now going to be using Zal, which gives us 20% max life for 6 seconds, because we really want to focus on increasing our max life. So because we're not using vortex anymore, we actually swap out vortex on our toolbar. We want to be using vortex now in the skill build, and we're going to be sacrificing our counterattack. So that's no longer being used on our skill bar here. We're now using vortex as well. And anyways, as far as the rest of the gear goes, another huge shocker with this build is you actually don't use the Quill Volley where it bounces back anymore. I forgot the name of that one. I think it's what is the name of that? Rebounding aspect. That's it. A rebounding aspect isn't used anymore, which was a shock to me. I was surprised when I saw that in the build, but we actually need to use this redirected force again. This is really important for the build. Increase our critical strike damage and blocking. Also, chance to block also helps increase that damage. So that's important. And then we're also using more stuff with our block chance. We're using the interdiction aspect, which is a new one we haven't used before, and that also increases our block chance per resolve stack. So we're going to try to get a lot of resolve stacks, as you can see here with the where is it? Resolve. So we get more resolve generated on our tunic. We want to try to masterwork that as much as possible. So we're basically trying to increase our block chance a lot to increase our damage output. And then we're using duelist, like I mentioned before. We're having 13 stacks of ferocity now, which is a lot more than I had in my previous build, which is really nice because that's on a separate attack speed cap. But when you combine them together, you can figure out, what your breakpoint is and what you need to do. And I've also, maxed out. I've got a perfect roll now. This is important actually to get if you can get a perfect roll on this affix here with 3%, because that's going to affect a lot of your damage coming out here. And I've also got pretty good crit strike damage, which is nice. By the way, guys, if you don't already know this, the chance for core skills to hit twice seems like a very lucrative affix, but that actually is bugged and does not work at all. So don't worry at all about that roll. Don't worry about getting a greater affix on that. You can see my only greater affix is velocity, which also isn't super important to this build, but it is at least something that is useful. The chance for core skills to hit twice does not work, so don't worry about it. Now, still using the same one here. We do actually are hoping for a better one, because you can see, even though we got 3 greater affixes, we didn't get a high roll on that last one, which is pretty important. And then lastly, we're still using the same affix as before, the Moonrise. That one's going to be important, and then the Midnight Sun. So right now this is the build I want to showcase for you guys. So that's pretty much it. I think we covered just about everything. There are some changes to the Paragon board, the skills, but that'll all be in the build guide. Well, I'm not going to talk about that because I mean, I can show you guys the skills real quick, but I'm not actually going to show you my Paragon board because it's I haven't updated it yet. I've kind of just played around with it and tried to fix it how it is now, but I actually probably need to redo the boards because the problem with my old build, the old build that we've been using, is you're going to be using a lot of affixes on the viscous shield board. You can see I'm kind of going in every direction here, and this is not efficient, right? Like we don't want to be moving in every direction. I think we're supposed to be using this board to go 2 different directions and connect 2 different boards to it, and that's wrong. So don't use my board, guys. Use the one in the build guide below. And without further ado, I think we're going to do a pit run for you guys just to show you how powerful this build is. So right now there's some key things that I need to pop here before we go into the pit. One, of course, is what I mentioned before, the max resource. That is absolutely essential with how much max resource I currently have. If I had a little, like 25 more, we wouldn't need this, but it's crucial for the build. So we're gonna pop this. I'm just gonna pop one of my seasonal affixes, and then as far as these, I actually have your stats are gonna be lower now because you're not running Tybalts. You do want to try to max get the all stats on your harmony. You see, I didn't actually finish masterworking, and I haven't hit it on my masterworking, but you do want to try to hit that if you can. Get all stats because your stats are going to be lower. You're going to be missing out on certain things here, like for example, your intelligence. I'm actually just over the cap on this one, and you can see some are missing, but we want to try to get make sure that we're getting the extra bonuses from all this stuff. So I actually am going to be using all stats. So you can see I popped the all stats incense here. So we have 3 different incenses running, and now we're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. I think we're just going to do a quick tier 100. That's a pretty easy one for me to do right now. But it'll just show you how powerful this build is, right? Like how easy it is to do. And I shouldn't have too much trouble with this one. Even though, like I mentioned before, we're not even, all resistance capped. Oh, I don't know what my current, let's take a look here and see what we got. So yeah, you can see I'm not even capped on anything except poison. But what I can do is if I want to get, like, say, our shadow and our cold are a little bit low, I have this elixir here, which will increase those a bit. So we'll get a little bit better here. And another thing you can do, if your resistances to help your build out, if they're not all, like if there's certain ones that aren't capped, like say cold and shadow are really low, which is the most likely situation because your midnight sun will have a lot of fire and lightning resist. You can even affix, like an amethyst in here or whatever to just increase cold resistance, just increase shadow resistance if you want to. I still need all resist because all my resistances aren't capped, but as you can see, we can kind of play with elixirs and just basically tailor the build to what your own all resist problems are, right? So we're just going to start burning through here. You can see we're just going quick. Everything's pretty easy with this barrier. It's nice. You have a ton of life, and even though we're not all resist capped, we're still going to be doing pretty well here. Huh. Some annoying affix must be going on with those. I'm not dying nearly as quickly as I would hope. We are fearing stuff away now, so with that affix that we're using on our chest, I think. So sometimes our minions will help us with that situation, and sometimes they won't. Huh. Make sure our vigor is, yep, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was over 240 there. We're at 255, which is good. So I've done up to 105 so far. That's not my, I wouldn't say that's my progression max, but I've noticed that when you go to level up your glyphs at the end, you don't, once you go past a level 100 pit, it doesn't really, your chances don't increase anymore to level up your glyphs. So I didn't see any point. This seemed like the highest one I can speed farm really fast right now. If I go to 105, it might take me an extra, minute or half, 30 seconds to kill the boss. So I figure I'll just speed farm on level 100. One thing about this build, now that we're dropped Andes and we dropped our lucky hit chances, we don't get to, stagger things as quickly as we used to. And you'll see that when we get to the boss. But just because we're doing so much damage, and we're also not, we don't have the rebounding aspect anymore. The Quill Volleys aren't, you can even see the Quill Volleys aren't coming back towards us because we got rid of that aspect. Which I was expecting that aspect to stay for the entire duration of me playing Quill Volley. But I guess not. So, we could test it and see, but I think we really need all those affixes to work together, increasing our block chance, increasing our damage. We need to have all of them. And well, here's the boss. You can see now we're not staggering him. I mean, we are staggering him, but it's not super fast. But it doesn't matter because there's just so much damage coming out on him that he's dead already. And this is 100, so. Hope you, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It looks like we're full on obols. We're gonna have to go do some gambling, sort that situation out. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the build. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about with it. So yeah, I think we're gonna end it there. If you guys have any questions or comments, I still have some questions about it. I've heard. Some of my, I guess, maybe if I can remember some of the questions that I was thinking of that I don't really understand about this build still, that are still weighing on me. Let's see, what was it? Oh, so there's something about, there's another thing you guys need to know. I'm actually going to link this in the comments down below as well. I forgot to talk about it. But resource generation, you need to have a certain amount of resource generation. And it's not all going to be visible here, what you need. But there is a spreadsheet calculator. And you need to basically get to 100% resource generation in order for this build to work correctly. With Calepe, with the talisman build, or basically with any Quill Volley build, you need to have this. Try to get to this 100 resource gen cap, and then once you get that cap, you can think about getting resource cost reduction. And I don't know why you want resource cost reduction. I've seen all these builds using it, and they also recommend that you get 560 intelligence to go along with this before you worry about that, which I don't quite have right now, as you can see. But it could easily be done with some more all stats or whatsoever, some more Paragon points. But I don't really know why you want to get that. I haven't figured that one out yet. The other thing here is with my gear, you're going to see the tempering is basic damage, but now that we're using the overpower build, we actually want to switch that to overpower damage because you can get higher rolls than the basic damage rolls, basically. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so you want to think about the three things you need to think about are your attack speed breakpoints, your resource generation cap, and your total vigor that you have. And that's pretty much all you need to worry about. On top of your defensive skills, your armor, your resistance. But like I said, with this build, you don't really need to hit those caps anymore. It's not really necessary. The main thing you want to focus on is getting to that 122-ish% barrier bonus. And that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or feedback, please let me know down in the comments below. And we'll catch you in the next one, if there is a next one. Peace.